Excel accounting practice problem. Adjust beginning balances in worksheet for current period data input. Get ready, because we're about to excel. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. In prior presentations, we set up this Excel worksheet from a blank sheet, now entering data into it. If you have access to this worksheet, two tabs on down below, Example tab and the Practice tab. Example tab in essence being an answer key. The Practice tab starting out at the point which we left off at last time. Last time we entered all of our information into the system for the beginning balances, both into a worksheet type of format where we have the beginning entries and ending trial balance, and into the general ledger. Now we'd like to set up the system and clean up our worksheet as if we're starting at the first point in time and moving forward like in January in our practice problem, when we're actually going to do data input for the current period after having entered these beginning balances. To do that, I would like to take these ending balances, move them to the starting point in our worksheet. So we have the beginning balances in our worksheet, and in the general ledger types of accounts, we would like to refresh these items so that the beginning balances will show up top here in the beginning balances here, and instead of as we post them to the accounts. So to do that, it's going to look something like this on the Example tab when we are done. If I go to the Example tab, we'll have no transactions here. We'll hide some of the cells, so we won't delete the transactions. And then we'll have our beginning balances, and then the entries will be a nice clean column here, and then our ending balances. Now be aware that we will treat this whole trial balance a little bit different, because you can assume or visualize this being created as just being created from, in essence, the general ledger, to just have one column here that's being constructed from the general ledger. But as we go through each transactions, it's nice to see the impact on a nice little worksheet. So we're going to try to maintain this nice little worksheet, which will allow us to give a zoom in to each transaction. And then on the general ledger accounts, we want to have all the beginning balances up top so we don't have any activity, and we have a nice clean worksheet to work on for the next accounting period, which we're imagining starting in basically January of the next period. So let's go to the Practice tab and see how then we can do that. Okay, so to work this out, what we would like to have then are these entries. I want to put them on this side here so we have the beginning balances. I'd like to keep the formulas so that we don't actually delete the items that we have over here. We can still kind of see how we constructed those beginning balances in the worksheet. So I can't copy and paste them over because it's going to change the cell reference. What I need to do then is cut and paste them or simply drag them over. So what I'm going to do is right click and I'm going to cut the whole thing. And then I'm going to paste it just normal here, and then I'll deal with adjusting the formatting of the cell. So we're just going to paste the whole thing. So there we have it. So now these are pulling from the journal entries, so we can see those beginning balances and see where they're coming from. Then I'm going to do the formatting. I'm going to select this cell here, and then let's go to the Home tab, Clipboard, and the paintbrush, and put a paintbrushy on down on this one. So there's our formatting. I'd like to make these middle ones that blue format. So for that, I'm going to go here and we're going to go to then the bucket drop down. If you don't have this blue indicated, you can go to the more colors, the standard, and you'll pick up that blue right there. Okay. Going to put borders around it in the font group and put the borders around all borders. Then we have the formulas down here, maybe off as well since we cut. So I'm going to say this equals the sum of the items above it. So now that formula should work, and we'll copy that across to the right. So there are our beginning balances. And now these aren't going anywhere in here in the middle. They're going to that beginning balance now. And so that looks pretty good. What I'd like to do then is copy this cell formatting and add another series here so we can do our data input in a fresh new set. So I'm going to copy from A to E to D, not to E to D. I'm going to Control C, copy that, and I'm going to try to paste that right in the skinny cell, but I'm not going to paste it like normal because I don't want to overwrite stuff. I want to insert the copied cells. So I'm going to right click and then say Insert the copied cells. And so there we have it. And then I want to make one more column, which is like a skinny column right there. So I can try to, maybe I can let's just insert a column. I'm going to put my cursor on column E, right click and insert here. So we're going to have another column. I want to get rid of the formatting. So I go to the little paintbrush and I can clear formatting. And then I want to make it just as skinny as this J over here. So I'm going to put my cursor on J, Home tab, and clipboard it, and then just paintbrushy that one, and it makes it more skinny. Now all the data is not right because that's fine. I just want a blank cell, so I'm going to just make that whole thing blank. Just remove all the data. But before I do, notice these second ones are indented. We use the alignment and indent. I don't want that. I want just the normal formatting in case I have more than 2 accounts impacted. Otherwise, those indented cells are going to mess things up. So I'm going to go to the Home tab, clipboard, paintbrush, and just make this whole thing the same formatting without the indentation, and then delete it, and delete this whole thing. Then I'd like to hide the cells over here because I don't want them in the way as we go forward with the new data input. So I'm going to go from column A on over to column E, let go. We're going to right click that selected area and just hide that area, hide it. So there, that is hidden now. So now our general ledger, we're going to set up the GL, and we have to basically fix our general ledger here. And to do that, they should be matching up to our beginning balances. Now you might say, okay, I could just say, I'm going to say this is going to be equal to my beginning balance, but I don't want to do that because I'm going to use the beginning balances a little bit differently as we go with the beginning trial balance to try to help us to zoom in on the transactions we're particularly looking into. So what I'm going to do instead is just hard code these, just copying the number and then typing them in. 25,000 here. And then I'm going to delete this and delete this. And these should tie out because we should be in balance if everything works out up top as we pull the information in. So we'll see how this works. We could delete these items. This is going to be accounts receivable, which according to this is 20,500 hard coded, which means type it in there. That's what hard coded means. We're just typing it. It's not very hard coding. It's easy to code because you just type it in. That's the easy way to do it, really. It's not hard. That's not hard. Inventory is going to be this one, 2896, hard coded. It's been hard coded into there. Sounds fancy. And then let's delete this. I'm going to hide some cells so I can see what I'm working on in a side-by-side fashion. Hiding from this cell on over to V. And then right-click the selected area and hide those cells. Por favor. And then we're going to go to the furniture and equipment, and this is going to be the 75,000. And then scrolling down to the accumulated depreciation, which is going to be negative 75,000 with a hard code. This is some hard code, man. This is some hard code. And so this is going to be equal to the last one plus this one. And then we've got this one over here on accounts payable. We're going to hard code this one at negative 15,000. And then the Visa on down below is going to be the negative 1,000. And let's hide some more cells then. Let's hide some cells from the skinny. Hide from the skinny to the AD. Right click and hide those cells. They have been hidden. There we go. And then the loan payable is going to be hard coded at negative 22,000. And then we got the equity, which has all the action in it. We had all this action in equity. We're not going to see, equity is not going to see that much action anymore except for the closing process. So it'll be a while before we see that kind of activity in equities. So negative 77,896 in the equity. And there we have it. So then the beginning balance in the subledgers, I think we're okay with. So we'll just keep those as is on them. And then let's just unhide some cells and see if everything works out the way it should. So we're going to put our cursor from N on over to AF. So we're expanding over those hidden cells. Right click and we're going to unhide those cells so we can see them because they were hidden, meaning they're out of sight. They hid well. They know how to hide those cells. When they hide, like you can't, they're good at hide and seek. But then if you just look at the alpha, in any case, so I think we're in balance here. So we got the zeros across. We're ready to do data input with the beginning balances, posting both to the trial balance format so we can see a nice little worksheet format. And we've got our beginning balances starting the new period in our general ledger ready to move forward, which we will do. next time. But before we do, let's unhide some cells over here just so we always see the unhidden cells. I'm just going to select the whole thing and just unhide everything. It won't let me unhide that way on this last cell. This is the best place to hide because they won't let you unhide. So there we have that. So now next time when we go back into this, this is where we start out. We'll see the whole thing going into it, and we'll start to do data input for the first month shortly.